Xbox controllers suck. And I know that may sound completely ludicrous to a lot of people, but that is the truth. And I'm going to explain why Xbox controllers suck. Well, in FPS games specifically, because I know people will be mad if I did not specify. Because, well, sure, Xbox controllers work fine in anything 2D. However, it's shooters where Xbox controllers really show the weakness. So, let's explain all this. Now, you're thinking, well, what is the reason why Xbox controllers suck? Well, there's one simple answer, that's aim assist. And which is probably the most hated thing about shooters from what I'm hearing. Now, at its core, aim assist is totally fine, because it gives people who only use stick aim an advantage, so that they're not completely screwed by mouse users. Then, well, there are games that make it super overpowered, like Black Ops 7, and that's where it gets the most hate from what I see. But that also generates a problem because if you're relying on aim assist very frequently, you're not actually aiming at all. And that's really the reason why I think aim assist is badly designed. Of course, there is gyro aim, and if you use gyro aim and you're a big advocate person for it, you realize that stick aim is dog shit. But then, of course, a lot of people just don't want to use gyro aim. They think it's very unintuitive, gimmicky, difficult to use. Those are the people that don't learn anything because of only using aim assist. Gyro aim and mouse aim are way better at teaching you how to actually aim because, well, you need to be able to move the controller or the mouse, you need to have a steady hand when you're aiming, and you need to be able to reposition your arms. And, well, for gyro aim's case, that's gyro ratcheting. Does any of that make sense? Well, I hope so, because now it's time for me to say or explain why Xbox controllers do none of that for you. Obviously, the first issue here is the right stick is awful at aiming, because you have very little space to work which means that it's extremely hard to land any precise movements without aim assist. And combined with people constantly moving around, you basically are not able to do anything using stick aim, and, well, without aim assist being extremely overpowered, which, well, is the case in COD titles. And to top that off, making the game aim for you just damages you as a player because you're essentially automating part of playing the game that you just should not automate in the first place, and, well, doing that basically doesn't ever let you improve at all when you're using aim assist. It just doesn't teach you anything. This mindset is pretty much why I tell a lot of people to stay well away from Xbox controllers. You don't want to develop that mindset at all. Of course, if you still want to use a controller for FPS games, whatever reason it may be, I don't care, then you really want to learn gyro aim. So pick yourself a controller like the 8-Bit Duo Ultimate 2, which does have gyro aim and it's only $60, and, well, map gyro to mouse and, well, start learning gyro. Because trust me, it will help you a lot. Though, for actually learning gyro aim, I personally recommend you do a game like Portal, which is a first-person puzzle game, so you don't really have a whole lot to worry about. And for playing an actual FPS game with gyro aim, Half-Life is a good starting point for that. And both of these games are pretty good entry points to gyro, so you actually, learn the few things I already said, moving them. Now, for learning gyro aim, I personally recommend you start with games like Portal and Half-Life, which are not as intensive, and Half-Life especially is a pretty chill FPS game compared to other stuff like Call of Duty. And both those games are, in general, good entry points to gyro aim and pretty much Steam input in general. But once you get used to gyro aim, you can basically go wild with any other game. You can use it in Battlefield 6 or Fortnite, which, by the way, have native gyro support on PS5. And if you want to learn gyro aim in a multiplayer game, then Splatoon is literally the best choice for this because, well, everyone else is using gyro aim, so you're not at a disadvantage when you're doing it. Now, there are other things Steam also can let you do on a controller, which are not explicitly required, but they're nice to have, and I figured I'd mention them. Like, for example, Flick Stick, which pretty much gives you a whole different way of turning with a right stick, and you may prefer that. You can also have the face buttons be used to switch weapons. You can even create multiple action sets, use half pull actions for the analog triggers, and even make touchpad menus for the DualSense controller or any other controller with touchpads. However, this is all stuff you kind of have to configure for yourself, but it basically enables you to get creative with your controller layouts and really break any limits that Xbox controllers had and really unlock any controller's full potential, which, well, Xbox controllers do not have. And that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope you guys found it useful, and thanks for watching.